Kite Tenjo, the number hunter of Heartland and undefeated rival of Yuma Tsukumo. Appearing in both Yu-Gi-Oh's Zexal and Arc 5, this relentless duelist overwhelmed his opponents with his intense personality and playstyle, leaving a lasting impression in the 8 years since his last appearance. But the game of duel monsters has changed a lot since then, so today, we're going to be taking a look at an updated profile for this rival character, exploring the cards that he might be using if he were still dueling today. Now, Kite's strategy revolves around his series of Galaxy and Galaxy Eyes monsters, namely his signature Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon. In addition to this card, we'll add in Galaxy Eyes Afterglow Dragon and Galaxy Eyes Cloud Dragon. Afterglow Dragon can be special summoned in defense mode if you already control a Galaxy Eyes monster. If it's used as an Xyz material and then detached from that Xyz monster, it allows you to take a Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon in your hand or deck and either special summon it to your field or attach it to an Xyz monster that you control. If you use this effect during the battle phase, all of your number Xyz monsters double their attack points. Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon can be special summoned by tributing 2 monsters with 2,000 or more attack points. If this card battles an enemy monster, then it can banish itself and that monster from the field, but they come back at the end of the battle. As a bonus, if the banished enemy monster was an Xyz monster, Photon Dragon gains 500 attack points for each of its attached material units. Then there's the adorable little Cloud Dragon. It can be tributed to special summon another Galaxy Eyes monster from the hand or grave. If this card is in the graveyard, you can attach it to a Galaxy Eyes Xyz monster that you control, but you can only do this once per duel. Then for the run-of-the-mill Galaxy cards, we have Galaxy Brave, Galaxy Soldier, Galaxy Knight, Galaxy Summoner, Galaxy Wardrake, Galaxy Cleric, and Galaxy Wizard. Galaxy Brave lets you target a Galaxy monster in your graveyard and change its attack and defense stats to match that monster's stats. When this card is in your hand, it can be special summoned by revealing a Photon monster that's also in your hand. If you summon it this way, its level becomes the same as that Photon monster. Galaxy Soldier can be special summoned in defense position by sending a light attribute monster from your hand to the grave. When it's summoned, you can add a Galaxy monster from your deck to your hand. Galaxy Knight can be normal summoned without tributing if you control a Photon or Galaxy monster, but it loses 1,000 attack points until the end of the turn. If summoned this way, you can also special summon a Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon that's in your graveyard. Galaxy Summoner lets you special summon a Photon or Galaxy monster from your graveyard in defense mode when it's summoned. You can also use it to change a light monster on your field to level 4 until the end of the turn. Galaxy Wardrake can be special summoned if a level 4 light monster is special summoned to your field, but Wardrake is banished when it leaves the field. If you have a level 4 light monster on the field with this one, you can increase both of their levels to 8 until the end of the turn. However, you can only special summon light attribute monsters on the turn that you activate either of these effects. Galaxy Cleric can attach itself to a Galaxy or Photon Xyz monster that you control directly from your hand. If this card is summoned, you can shuffle 5 Galaxy and or Photon cards with different names in your graveyard back into your deck and then draw 2 cards. And Galaxy Wizard can increase its level by 4 until the end of the turn, and can be tributed to add a Galaxy monster from your deck to your hand. And since we've heard so much about them already, that brings us to the Photon monsters, like Photon Jumper, Photon Thrasher, Photon Vanisher, Photon Advancer, Photon Orbital, Photon Lizard, and Photon Emperor. Photon Jumper's first effect triggers when an enemy monster attacks, allowing you to special summon this monster and end the battle phase in exchange for skipping your next battle phase. If this card goes to the grave, you can add a Photon or Galaxy spell or trap in your deck to your hand. In exchange for its high attack points, Photon Thrasher can't be normal summoned and can only be special summoned when you control no monsters. It also can't attack if you control any other monsters. Similarly, Vanisher can't be normal summoned either. It can only be special summoned while you control a Photon or Galaxy monster, and it can't attack on the turn that it's summoned. But, when it's summoned, it lets you add Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon to your hand. And, as an added bonus, any Xyz material that has this card equipped to it as a material unit gets to banish monsters that it destroys in battle instead of sending them to the grave. Photon Advancer can be special summoned if you already have a Photon monster on the field, and it gains 1,000 attack points if there's another Photon monster on your field. Photon Orbital, who is clearly inspired by Kite's friendly robot, Orbital 7, can equip itself to a Photon or Galaxy monster that you control. It gains 500 attack points and cannot be destroyed by battle. When it's equipped like this, it can be sent to the grave to add a Photon or Galaxy monster in your deck to your hand. Photon Lizard can be tributed to add a level 4 or lower Photon monster in your deck to your hand. And Photon Emperor can be special summoned back to the field in defense position if it's sent to the grave while you have another Photon or Galaxy monster on your field, though there is a hard once per turn limit that prevents it from repeatedly respawning. After you summon this card, you can normal summon a second monster that turn, so long as it's a light attribute monster. Overlay Booster can be special summoned in defense position if you control a monster with 2,000 or more attack points. This card can also be banished from the grave to give one of your Xyz monsters an extra 500 points for each material unit attached to it. And rounding out the monsters, we have the adorable Galactic Haribo, who is treated as a Galaxy monster despite not quite spelling it out in the name. This card can be discarded when an enemy attacks, allowing you to special summon Galaxy-Eyes Photon Dragon from the hand or deck and force the opponent to switch its attack target to Photon Dragon. Then you can attach this card to an Xyz monster on the field. If a Photon or Galaxy monster you control would be destroyed, you can banish this card from the graveyard in order to protect them. For spells and traps, we have a lot of support for Galaxy, Photon, and Xyz cards. Starting with the Galaxies, we have Galaxy Cyclone, Galaxy Expedition, Galaxy Trance, Galaxy Zero, Galaxy 100, Hyper Galaxy, and Eternal Galaxy. Cyclone destroys a set spell or trap on the field. Then, after this card has been in the grave for at least one turn, it can be banished from the graveyard to destroy a face-up spell or trap on the field. Galaxy Expedition lets you special summon a level 5 or higher Photon or Galaxy monster in defense position if you already control another one on the field. Galaxy Trance lets you pay 2,000 life points to special summon a Photon monster from the grave and a Galaxy monster from the deck in defense position, so long as they both have the same level. Then, both of their attack points become 2,000, and their effects are negated. You can only special summon Galaxy or Photon monsters for the rest of the turn when this effect is used. Galaxy Zero lets you special summon a Galaxy or Photon monster from your grave, and it can equip itself with this card. If it would be destroyed during the battle phase, this card can be destroyed instead. However, when this card leaves the field, the equipped monster loses all of its attack points. Galaxy 100, on the other hand, lets you send a Galaxy or Photon card from your deck to the grave when it's activated. It also lets you either banish a monster in your enemy's extra deck or special summon an enemy monster to your field whenever Galaxy-Eyes Photon Dragon is special summoned. Hyper Galaxy lets you tribute a monster with 2,000 or more attack points from both your field and your opponent's field in order to special summon Galaxy-Eyes Photon Dragon from the hand, deck, or grave. And Eternal Galaxy activates if you control a Photon or Galaxy monster and an Xyz monster, though both those requirements can be one monster overall if you control a Galaxy or Photon Xyz monster. You can special summon a Galaxy or Photon Xyz monster from your extra deck that is 4 ranks higher than your Xyz monster by using that Xyz monster as material. Then we have the Photon spells and traps, with those being Photon Hand, Photon Stream of Destruction, Photon Time Stop, and Photon Change. Photon Hand lets you pay 1,000 life points to take control of an enemy monster if you already control a Photon or Galaxy monster, but the monster you control has to be an Xyz monster if you don't already control Galaxy-Eyes Photon Dragon on your field first. Photon Stream of Destruction lets you banish a card on your field if you control a Galaxy-Eyes monster, but it can only be activated on your turn if you don't control Galaxy-Eyes Photon Dragon. Photon Time Stop lets you take a Photon or Galaxy continuous spell or trap card from your deck and add it to your hand or activate it on the field. If this card is destroyed by an enemy effect while it's set on your field, and you control a Galaxy-Eyes Photon Dragon or an Xyz monster using Photon Dragon as material, you can force the current turn to jump to its end phase. And Photon Change has 2 once per turn effects, both of which are activated by sending a Galaxy or Photon monster that you control to the graveyard. You can either special summon a Photon monster from your deck, or you can add a Photon card from your deck to your hand. If the card you sent to the grave was a Galaxy-Eyes Photon Dragon, you can activate both effects instead of picking one. After the second standby phase after its activation, Photon Change sends itself to the graveyard. Now for the Xyz spells and traps, with those being Xyz Force, Xyz Gift, Xyz Import, Xyz Doubleback, and Xyz Extreme. Xyz Force lets you send an Xyz card in your main deck to the grave, or if you have an Xyz monster with materials left on your field, you can add that Xyz card from your main deck to your hand instead of sending it to the grave. This card can also be banished from the graveyard to detach a material from an Xyz monster on the field, including an enemy monster. If the material that you detached was another Xyz monster, you can special summon it back from your own graveyard to the field. But, since it has to be from your own graveyard, this means that you can't steal an enemy Xyz monster and use it on your own field. Xyz Gift lets you draw 2 cards if you have 2 Xyz monsters on your field, and you can detach 2 material units from one of them. Xyz Import is a quick play spell that lets you steal an enemy monster as an Xyz material for one of your own Xyz monsters, so long as your Xyz monster has the same attack points or more as the stolen monster. Xyz Double Back is another quick play spell that lets you summon an Xyz monster that was sent to your graveyard this turn, and another monster with fewer or the same number of attack points as your Xyz monster. However, you can't activate this card if you already control any other monsters. And Xyz Extreme lets you pay 1,000 life points when your Xyz monster is destroyed by battle. You and your opponent can both reveal an Xyz monster from your extra decks, so long as that monster has the same or a lower rank than the Xyz monster that was just destroyed. The player who revealed the monster with lower attack points takes damage equal to the difference in both monsters' attack points. But if your opponent doesn't reveal an Xyz monster at all, they take the full value of your revealed monster's attack points as damage. And for our last few spells and traps, we have Numbers Last Hope, Generation Force, Saga of the Dragon Emperor, Eternal Bond, and Cipher Bit. Numbers Last Hope is treated as a Galaxy Eyes card. It lets you pay half your life points to special summon 2 monsters in your graveyard without their effects, but they must both immediately be used for an Xyz summon with no other materials allowed. Also, you can only special summon from the extra deck one more time on the same turn that this card is used. Generation Force lets you add an Xyz card in your deck to your hand if you control an Xyz monster. Saga of the Dragon Emperor lets you double a dragon monster on your field's attack points until the end of the turn. And if your opponent also controls a dragon monster, your dragon's effects can't be negated that turn. This card can be banished from the grave to special summon an Xyz dragon monster from your graveyard or your banish zone. Eternal Bond lets you special summon any number of Photon monsters from your grave without their effects. You can also banish this card from the grave to target a Photon monster that your opponent controls and take control of it, with the added benefit that its attack points become the combined total of all Photon monsters currently on your field for the rest of the turn. And finally, Cipher Bit lets you attach itself to a Galaxy Eyes or Cipher Xyz monster that you control as an extra material, which also grants it immunity from destruction once for the remainder of this turn. And that does it for our main deck. Moving on to the side deck, we have the Archbrave Dragon, in addition to some dragon support like Return of the Dragon Lords and Ruins of the Divine Dragon Lords. Archbrave Dragon can banish face-up enemy spell and traps if it's special summoned from the graveyard, and it gains 200 attack and defense points for each banished card. During the standby phase after this card goes to the grave, you can special summon a level 7 or 8 dragon monster from your graveyard. Return of the Dragon Lords also special summons a level 7 or 8 dragon monster from the grave, and this card can be banished from the grave to protect a dragon monster you control from being destroyed. Ruins of the Divine Dragon Lords is a continuous spell that lets you negate special summon monster effects on the turn that they're summoned if you control a level 7 or 8 dragon monster. Once per turn, you can send another face-up card you control to the grave to special summon a level 1 Dragon Lord token. If this card is in your grave, you can send a level 7 or 8 dragon monster to the grave to add this card back to your hand. Next up, we have the monster Numeral Hunter, who is clearly based on Kite himself, and lets you return all number monsters on the field to the extra deck when he's summoned, and prevents number monsters from being summoned while he's on the field. This card can't be destroyed by battle with an Xyz monster, and is unaffected by their effects. Then we've got Numeron Creation, Numbers Protection, and Overlay Network. Numeron Creation, which is treated as a Galaxy Eyes card, lets you special summon a dragon monster from the extra deck, and attach this card to it as a material unit if there are 3 or more light dragon monsters with 3,000 or more attack points on the field. Numbers Protection activates when a card effect activates when you control a number monster, letting you negate and destroy the activated card. If a number monster you control is destroyed while this card is in your grave, you can set this card on the field, but it's banished the next time it leaves the field. Overlay Network lets you use one of 2 effects. Either you can special summon a monster that is the same level as another monster you control from your hand or grave without its effects, or you can add an Xyz material from one of your monsters to your hand. Then we have Rank Up Magic Cipher Ascension. This card lets you special summon a Cipher Xyz monster that is 1 rank higher than a Cipher Xyz monster you already control, using your original Cipher monster as its Xyz material. The new monster gains 500 attack points for each level 4 or higher monster that you control. And to round out the side deck, we have a sub-archetype that gels well with Kite's existing strategy, the Felgrands, with those being Paladin of Felgrand, Guardian of Felgrand, Divine Dragon Lord Felgrand, and Divine Dragon Knight Felgrand. Paladin of Felgrand and Guardian of Felgrand can both equip a level 7 or 8 dragon monster in your hand or deck to themselves when they're summoned. While Paladin is equipped, it is immune from other monsters' effects. While Guardian is equipped, it gains half the attack and defense points of the equipped monster. Both of these monsters share the effect that you contribute them and another monster to special summon a level 7 or 8 dragon monster from the grave. Divine Dragon Lord Felgrand can banish an enemy monster from the field or grave when it's special summoned from the graveyard, gaining 100 points for each of the banished monster's levels or ranks. If this card destroys an enemy monster in battle, you can special summon a level 7 or 8 dragon in the graveyard. And Divine Dragon Knight Felgrand is a rank 8 Xyz monster that can detach an Xyz material during either player's turn to negate a face-up monster's effect, while also granting it immunity from other card effects. Now, as we've done in previous deck profiles, we're going to say that does it for the side deck, but we're going to give Kite a slightly larger than legal extra deck. If you choose to run this profile, you can decide which cards go where. So, for our remaining 18 cards, we've got 3 groups: the Starliege cards, the Number cards, and the Galaxy Eyes Dragon cards. Starting with the Starliege, we have Starliege Lord Galaxion, Starliege Paladinamo, and Starliege Photon Blast Dragon. Starliege Lord Galaxion is a rank 4 Xyz monster that requires its overlay materials to be Photon monsters. Once per turn, you can detach a unit from this card to special summon Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon from your hand, or detach 2 cards to summon it from your deck. Starliege Paladinamo is also rank 4, requiring light monsters as its materials. You can detach 2 materials from it to neuter an enemy monster, negating its effects and zeroing out its attack points. If this card is destroyed by an enemy card, you can draw 1 card. And Starliege Photon Blast Dragon is a rank 4 with no specific summoning requirements. When it's summoned, you can summon a Photon monster in your hand. While on the field, this card shields your monsters with 2,000 or more attack points from enemy card effects. As a quick play effect, you can detach a material from this card to special summon a Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon in your grave or your banished zone. For the Number monsters, we have Number 38, Hope Harbinger Dragon Titanic Galaxy, Number S38, Titanic Galaxy, Number 46, Dragluon, and Number 90, Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord. Number 38 is a rank 8 Xyz monster that can negate spell cards in order to add them to itself as additional Xyz materials. It can also detach a material from itself to redirect enemy attacks toward itself instead of another target. And, if one of your Xyz monsters is destroyed while this card is on the field, you can add its attack points to another Xyz monster you control, including this one. Number S38, an upgrade of Hope Harbinger, is a rank 9 Xyz monster that can be Xyz summoned by using the original Number 38 and its materials as the necessary overlay units for summoning. This card gains 200 attack points for each material unit attached to it. Once per turn, you can attach up to 2 spells or traps your opponent controls to this monster, and neither player can activate those cards or their effects in response to this effect. Finally, you can detach 1 material from this card to drop its original attack points to 1500 so that it can attack the enemy directly. Number 46 is a rank 8 Xyz monster that must be the only monster on your field to activate its effects. You can detach 1 unit to special summon a dragon from your hand, take control of an enemy dragon monster, or prevent enemy dragon monsters from activating their effects until the end of the turn. Number 90 is also rank 8 and cannot be destroyed by card effects if it has a Photon monster attached to it as a material unit. It has 2 once per turn quick effects. The first lets you detach an overlay unit to negate an enemy monster's effect, and if the attached unit was a Galaxy card, you can destroy the monster you negated. The second lets you take a Photon or Galaxy card in your deck and either add it to your hand or attach it to this card. And a card that I'm really sad we never got to see Kite use in his original lineup, number 100, Numeron Dragon, the reincarnation of the celestial dragon that created the universe. Despite being the one to find and access this card in the show, Kite never successfully summoned it before dying and passing it along to Mizar. So we're going to say that he picked it back up somewhere along the line and is taking full advantage of its effects. It's technically a rank 1 Xyz monster, although its summoning requirements are 2 number monsters with the same name and rank. Once per turn, you can detach a material unit to give this monster 1000 attack points for the combined rank of all Xyz monsters on the field. When this card is destroyed by card effect, you can destroy as many monsters on the field as possible, then each player sets 1 spell or trap from their graveyard on the field. When an opponent's monster declares an attack while this card is in your grave, and you have no cards in your hand or on your field, you can special summon this card. Moving on to the Galaxy Eyes monsters, let's start with the one and only non-Xyz monster in this lineup, Galaxy Eyes Soul Flare Dragon. This Link monster requires 2 light attribute monsters to summon, one of which has to have 2,000 or more attack points. When it's Link summoned, you can add a Galaxy or Photon monster in the grave to your hand. Then, during your opponent's main phase, you can discard a Galaxy and a Photon card, or a Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon, to destroy a special summoned enemy monster. After that, we've essentially got 2 families of dragons to follow from here. The Cipher Dragon family seen in Arc 5, and the Photon Dragon family seen in Zexal. Starting with the Cipher Dragons, we've got Galaxy Eyes Cipher Dragon, Neo Galaxy Eyes Cipher Dragon, Galaxy Eyes Cipher Blade Dragon, and Galaxy Eyes Cipher X Dragon. Galaxy Eyes Cipher Dragon is a rank 8 Xyz monster that can detach one of its materials to assume control of an enemy monster until the end of the turn. Though its effects are negated, and its attack points are changed to 3,000, and its name becomes Galaxy Eyes Cipher Dragon. The only drawback is that this card is the only one of your cards that can attack directly for the rest of the turn. This card was later evolved into Neo Galaxy Eyes Cipher Dragon, which is a rank 9 version that has an upgraded version of the same effect. You can detach up to 3 cards from this one, and can steal an enemy monster for the rest of the turn for each card that you detach. While these monsters are on your field, their effects are negated, their attack points become 4,500, and their names become Neo Galaxy Eyes Cipher Dragon. Like the regular Cipher Dragon, however, this card prevents any of your monsters except for itself from making direct attacks when its effect is in play, and this card can only use its effect so long as one of its overlay materials is a Cipher card. Galaxy Eyes Cipher Blade Dragon is also rank 9, but it can be Xyz summoned using any rank 8 Galaxy Eyes Xyz monster and its materials. You can detach a material from this card to destroy another card on the field. When this card is destroyed and goes to the grave, you can special summon Galaxy Eyes Cipher Dragon from your graveyard. And Galaxy Eyes Cipher X Dragon is the current King Daddy of the Cipher family. It is a rank 10 Xyz monster, but it can be Xyz summoned using another Cipher Dragon monster and its materials as overlay unit. You can detach 2 materials from this card to prevent your opponent from targeting light monsters with card effects until the end of your opponent's turn. Once per turn at standby, you can return a rank 9 or lower Dragon Xyz monster in the graveyard to the extra deck, then special summon it using this card and its materials. And that brings us to the Photon Dragons, which include Galaxy Photon Dragon, Neo Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon, and Galaxy Eyes Full Armor Photon Dragon. Galaxy Photon Dragon is just a little guy. He's a rank 4 Xyz monster that gives other light monsters you control 500 attack points. It also has 2 once per turn effects. You can detach an overlay unit to add a Galaxy or Photon card from your deck to your hand or graveyard, and if you special summon a light monster to your field, you can change its level to 4 or 8 until the end of the turn, setting up a bigger Xyz summon. Neo Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon is rank 8, and it negates the effects of all other face-up cards on the field if Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon was one of its materials. Once per turn, this card can detach an overlay unit to detach all overlay units from enemy Xyz monsters, at which point this card gains 500 attack points and an extra attack for each overlay unit your opponent just lost. Galaxy Eyes Full Armor Photon Dragon is a rank 8 monster that must be Xyz summoned using another Galaxy Eyes Xyz monster and its materials. If this card has any equipment cards on it, it can repurpose up to 2 of those cards as attached materials once per turn. It can also detach a material from itself to destroy one face-up enemy card. Now earlier when I did the number monsters, I may have skipped over a card or 2, because the biggest boss monsters in this profile are Kite's numbered Photon Dragons. Number 62, Galaxy Eyes Prime Photon Dragon, is a rank 8 Xyz monster that can detach a unit during damage calculation to give itself 200 extra attack points for every rank of every Xyz monster currently on the field. If this card is destroyed by an enemy card while Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon is one of its materials, you can special summon it back 2 turns later with double the attack points. However, unless this card has the original Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon attached, any battle damage it inflicts is cut in half. And last, but certainly not least, we have Kite's Chaos Number monster, number C62, Neo Galaxy Eyes Prime Photon Dragon. As its name implies, it can be Xyz summoned using the original number 62 and its materials. At the start of battle on your turn, you can detach 1 material from this card so it can attack up to 3 monsters during the battle phase. If this card has Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon as a material, it is unaffected by enemy monster effects and gains 100 points for the combined number of levels or ranks in its materials. And that does it for this modern Kite Tenjo deck profile. What do you think of the cards in this lineup? Do you agree with this setup, or am I way off base? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments, and if you haven't done so already, hit the subscribey bell thing if you want to see more modern deck profiles in the future. You can find this deck profile available over on YGO Pro, which you can find a link to down below in the description. A huge shout out to Wham Bam Duel for helping me create this profile. You can find a link to his channel and an explanation video for this deck profile that he made also below in the description. Our next deck profile will probably be revisiting the late great Declan Akaba from Arc 5, so keep an eye out for that, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye!